Investing doesn't have to be expensive, confusing, or complicated. You want the basics conveyed in a way that is easy to understand. I'm your host, Lena, partner at Sensible Portfolios, and this is my podcast, inspired by real investors who want to pay less, earn more, and retire better. Welcome to Retirement for Real. Like most financial products, there are the good and the bad. This is no different with 529 college savings plans. Families should carefully consider how to pick the best 529 plan for their needs. So today I want to examine the anatomy of two 529 plans, the plan that I recommend to my clients for their children and grandchildren, and the plan that I recommend you avoid at all costs. So as I usually do on this podcast, let's start with some of the facts. What is a 529 plan? Well, think of it as a college savings account or a 401k for college funds, sponsored by a state or educational institution. These plans come with tax breaks. You invest your money in the plan, it grows tax-free, and it can be withdrawn tax-free as long as the money is used for a qualified education expense. Some states even offer a tax deduction on your contributions. Anyone can contribute. So your parents, grandparents, uncles, aunts, even a friendly neighbor. High-income earners can contribute as well. There aren't any income limits for contributions. Additionally, 529 plans come with flexibility. You can invest in any state's 529 plan. It doesn't have to be the state you live in. You can change the beneficiary to anyone else, say a younger sibling, if the child doesn't go to college or if they get a scholarship. A new rule in the recently signed Secure 2.0 Act will allow for a tax-free rollover of money in a 529 plan to a Roth IRA for the benefit of the child. So what's the catch? Well, there's a penalty for money withdrawn that wasn't used for education expenses. As with all investing, there's also a risk your investment won't grow, or worst case scenario, you lose money, or that the money doesn't grow as fast as tuition prices increase. If you want to protect against stock market volatility, then perhaps consider a second type of a 529 plan called a prepaid tuition plan, which allows parents to pay tuition rates in today's dollars. This can help save money in the long run, but these plans are more restrictive. And lastly, many of these 529 college savings plans have hidden fees and/or poor investment choices. Thankfully, there are many options available, and I'm going to help you pick the right one. Let's start with the bad, and then we'll end today with the good. Let's look at a plan all parents and grandparents should avoid: the Morgan Stanley National Advisory 529 plan. This plan is sponsored by the North Carolina State Education Assistance Authority, a political subdivision of the state of North Carolina that was created in 1965 to develop and administer financial assistance programs for students pursuing higher education. To be clear, the NCSEAA sponsors another 529 plan that, in my opinion, is a much better college funding option. Though the Morgan Stanley National Advisory 529 plan is sponsored by the NCSEAA, it is only available to clients of Morgan Stanley, and it includes similar investment options that are available in most other 529 plans. What troubles me and should trouble parents and grandparents who trust Morgan Stanley with their college planning efforts is the cost of the program. There are two categories of expenses associated with Morgan Stanley's National Advisory Plan. First, investment fees and expenses incurred in operating the investment products, and secondly, investment advisory fees that are associated with working with the Morgan Stanley advisor. The estimated costs of the Morgan Stanley plan, and this can be found in their plan description and participation agreement, are shockingly high. Estimated investment fees and expenses average 0.69% annually, in addition to a maximum annual advisory fee of 2%, which is paid to the Morgan Stanley advisor. Now, if you're a long-term Morgan Stanley client, you may be saying, okay, so maybe these fees are a little higher, but I trust my Morgan Stanley advisor. He's been working with my family for years. We consider him a friend. Well, if we continue to read the plan description and participation agreement, you can learn why this 529 plan is not your friend. Over an 18-year period, you can estimate a total cost of the investment expenses and advisory fees for this Morgan Stanley plan to be $5,400 for a $10,000 investment. You invest $10,000 for 18 years, and Morgan Stanley's going to collect more than half of the original investment in fees and fund expenses. If you think about it, the cost of owning a Morgan Stanley National Advisory 529 plan may be more expensive than college tuition. There must be a better way to save for college. Look, I think 529 plans are an excellent college savings vehicle. The problem, as we have seen in this example, is when the plan charges excessive fees and expenses. So let's talk about the best 529 plan. I recommend that you start by looking at your state's 529 plan first, before you compare with other 529 plans offered by other states. There could be a state tax deduction available to you, so you want to first see if there's any tax benefits. Now, a lot of my clients live in states with little or no state income tax, so this consideration is less relevant. Generally, my recommendation is the 529 plan sponsored by the state of Utah. It has similar investment options as Morgan Stanley's National Advisory 529 plan, but with one major difference. The operating fees and expenses of the Utah plan are substantially lower. Instead of the ongoing 0.69% fee associated with Morgan Stanley's plan, Utah's ongoing fee is only 0.1%. That's an annual difference of 0.59%. Additionally, unlike the Morgan Stanley 529 plan, the Utah plan has no annual advisory fee, so you have additional savings. A simple calculation tells us, over 18 years, the amount needed to save in order to fund the child's college is 50% less with the Utah plan compared to Morgan Stanley's National Advisory 529 plan. Don't put yourself at a disadvantage by using an expensive college savings tool, especially given how expensive tuition is today and the likelihood that it will continue to rise. Today's example demonstrates how harmful high fees are to the long-term growth of an investment portfolio, whether it's a 529 plan or a Roth IRA. Smart investors know that fees matter. That's it for today on the best and the worst 529 plans for your grandkids. As always, I appreciate you listening. See you next time. Thank you for listening to an episode of Retirement for Real podcast. If you're looking to learn more about low-cost investing, check out our website, sensibleportfolios.com, and click on Book a Call to speak with me directly. This podcast is for entertainment purposes only. It should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. This podcast is not engaged in rendering legal, financial, or other professional services.